In a world where people are often judged by what they have rather than who they are, there lived a young woman who longed to be loved, not for her wealth, not for her family name, but for her heart. Her name was Amara Okafo, heir to one of the most powerful families in the city. She had everything except peace. Surrounded by luxury but starved of sincerity, she dreamed of something simple, something real. One quiet evening, she made a choice that would change everything. She left behind her world of riches and titles and stepped into a life of humility, a life where no one knew her name. This is the story of a girl who hid her crown to find her heart. But before we begin, take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss stories like this. Stories that remind us that true love has no price and no name. Now, let's begin. Love Without a Name. The story of a woman who pretended to be poor to find love that was truly rich. They say money can buy comfort, but it can never buy peace. It can buy companions, but never true love. And sometimes, the richer the life, the lonelier the heart becomes. That was the story of Amara Okafo, the only daughter of Chief Jeremiah Okafo, a man whose name commanded respect and fear in equal measure. His empire stretched across oil, real estate, and politics. To most people, the Okafo family was untouchable, powerful, elegant, and blessed. But behind the golden gates of their mansion lived a young woman whose soul was quietly suffocating. Amara was born into wealth but starved of affection. Her mother had died when she was just 10 years old, and her father had buried himself in business. To him, love was a distraction, success was everything. He raised her with the same philosophy: to trust no one, to love no one too deeply, and to never let emotions get in the way of ambition. But Amara was different. She had her mother's gentle eyes, her kindness, and her longing for something pure, something that money could never buy. From the outside, she was perfect, tall, graceful, always dressed in luxury. She appeared in magazines, smiled at charity galas, and waved at cameras like a porcelain doll. But inside, she was breaking. Every man who came into her life wanted the same thing: access. Access to her father, to his world, to the power that came with her last name. She had been betrayed more times than she could count. One man faked love to secure a contract with her father. Another proposed only to sell their story to the press. And each betrayal chipped away at her belief in love until all that was left was emptiness. One quiet night, she sat on her balcony watching the city lights blink in the distance. Below her, laughter rose from the streets, ordinary people living simple lives, free and happy. And for the first time in her life, she envied them. She whispered to herself, "If only I could live like them. If only I could know what it feels like to be loved without my name." That thought clung to her heart for days, and soon it became a plan. Amara packed a small bag, just a few clothes, a little cash, and the courage to leave everything behind. Late one night, she slipped out of the mansion, wearing plain jeans, a simple scarf, and no jewelry. She left her car behind and took a taxi into the heart of the city, a world her father had always warned her to stay away from. There she rented a tiny room in a crowded neighborhood, the kind of place where electricity flickered and neighbors shared laughter through thin walls. She told her landlord her name was Mira, short, sweet, and ordinary. In that moment, the billionaire's daughter ceased to exist. Mira was born. The first few days were hard. She struggled with chores she had never done before: washing clothes by hand, cooking with charcoal, bathing with a bucket. She burned her first meal, tripped over the uneven floor, and cried in the darkness, wondering if she had made a mistake. But as dawn broke and she heard the call of the morning vendors, something inside her stirred. She was free. For once, no one called her Madame, no one bowed, no one pretended. She was invisible, and she loved it. To survive, she got a job at a small roadside cafe. It was hot, crowded, and chaotic, the opposite of her old life. But it was real, and it was there that she met Tunde. He came every morning for breakfast, a delivery driver with strong hands and kind eyes. He always greeted her with a smile, even when his uniform was soaked in sweat and his wallet was almost empty. One morning, she accidentally spilled coffee on his shirt. Mortified, she apologized repeatedly. But instead of getting angry, he laughed. "It's just coffee. It looks like you've never spilled anything before." That simple line made her laugh, genuinely laugh, for the first time in months. From that day, he always sat at her table. They talked, joked, and slowly their connection deepened. Tunde lived a simple life. He took care of his sick mother, worked long hours, and dreamed of starting his own logistics company. Despite his struggles, he carried a peace Amara had never known. He didn't have money, but he had purpose. He didn't have luxury, but he had joy. And in his simplicity, Amara saw everything her world lacked. Weeks turned into months. Mira and Tunde became inseparable. They shared roasted corn on street corners, watched sunsets by the riverside, and told each other their dreams. He told her he wanted to build a business, not for fame, but to help other young men earn honest livings. She told him she wanted to design clothes for women who couldn't afford fashion. A small lie mixed with truth. In the quiet corners of the city, she found what she had been searching for all her life. Love that didn't care about last names. She would watch him sometimes, laughing with children or giving his last coin to a beggar, and her heart would ache with something she had never felt before. Admiration. For the first time, she thought, this is it. This is love. But love built on lies always carries a shadow. Amara's father had been growing restless. Weeks had passed without hearing from her. The security team he hired to track her discreetly was closing in. Meanwhile, Tunde's life grew harder. His delivery company cut staff, and his mother's health worsened. Bills piled up. One night, he sat in despair, his hands shaking. Amara held him, heart aching, wanting desperately to help. So she did what she had promised herself never to do. She used her real name, quietly, secretly, to pay for her mother's surgery. She thought it would remain hidden, but lies have a way of surfacing. A week later, when the hospital told Tunde that his bills had been cleared by a private donor, something inside him felt wrong. Mira had no such money, or did she? He asked her. She smiled and said softly, "Maybe God sent an angel." He wanted to believe her. He really did. But deep inside, the seed of doubt began to grow. Then came the day that shattered everything. Tunde was at work when his friend Kunle called him over. "Bro, come see this," he said, showing him a social media post. Tunde froze. There on the screen was a photograph of Mira, smiling, radiant, wearing a gown worth more than his entire year's salary. The caption read, "Amara Okafo, daughter of billionaire Chief Jeremiah Okafo at the annual charity ball." His heart stopped. It couldn't be. It wasn't possible. But it was her. The woman he loved, the woman he trusted, had lied to him about everything. He rushed to her apartment that night, his chest burning with betrayal. She opened the door, and one look at his face told her the truth